G'day, Nathan and Brett here from SEQH. So this morning what we'd like to talk about is we'd like to introduce the Load Restraint Guideline, the 2018 Load Restraint Guideline, which can be found on the web, and I'll also put this link to it with the video as well.
Yep.
So do you want to just provide a bit of an insight into what the Load Restraint Guideline is for all necessary parties?
Sure. The Load Restraint Guideline is a document where it's a go-to for transport companies, for anyone moving freight, indeed anybody in the chain of responsibility, because ultimately that'll be the document that'll provide industry guidelines on what's best practice in terms of restraining, carting and moving freight on road. So it only talks about road, and it is a useful document. In fact, codifies what good common sense is on how you move freight, and how you restrain freight.
So within that, we'd like to talk about one
Let's come back to it week on week, Nath. But today let's talk about one particular issue.
Yeah, one particular issue, which was a recent change with the latest update, and that's with respect to carting ISO tanks and also containers with bladders.
But fluid in bladders inside GP containers, which for all intents and purposes they are the fluid nature of the load is concealed by the external container. And good practice would have some good markings on the side of the container, and that would be important, so that people know what's actually inside it, particularly drivers. Although I suspect once they get it on the first 150 metres, they'll know what's inside.
If they start braking,
as that fluid starts moving around on them. So and that's one of the things that's important for drivers to know when they're getting an a GP with a fluid bladder on the inside, is that they've got it on, and B, they can cart it safely. So what does the Load Restraint guide now say about that, Nate?
Well, essentially, you can't be relying on your standard scale trailers anymore.
No.
You need to revert back to a lower trailer, drop deck trailer, in order to reduce that
the centre of gravity.
Centre of gravity.
That's it. Yeah. The idea being that the lower you are to the ground, the less impact on the trailer the moving load will have, because the problem is, of course, with fluid, as you turn left or you turn right in the truck, the fluid wants to keep going straight down the road. So that in itself, if you do a hard turn, will want to tend to put pressure on the trailer to throw it over, and the lower you are to that, the less leverage that load can have on your truck, and that's the idea of a reduced height trailer for holding fluid. And that's all part of the dangerous goods, which is a separate
ballgame.
There's lots of legislation around and regulations around dangerous goods. But in terms of the cartage of non-dangerous goods, and DG should never be carted in a bladder. But around the cartage of non-dangerous goods, non-dangerous fluid goods, really the Load Restraint Guide has been silent until recently about the best ways to do that, and the most common sense way to haul that product with least danger to driver and other road users.
And I guess the scary thing is that whilst you might just see a container on the road, you don't know if there's a bladder inside.
That's
so
right.
You're really relying on that transport operator and those parties in the chain to do the right thing. And to make sure that
the lowest risk way to haul that freight. Now, you can haul that up and down the road 100 times and not have a problem. But the 101st time you may well have a problem, in which case we've all got to then go and front up to a judge, and I know what the judge is going to say. He's going to say, Nathan, what's industry best practice? What should these guys have been doing? Particularly if fluid or movement of freight was part of the reason for the accident. So again, it's not that you can't do it down the road on a normal trailer.
No.
But the reality is, if this only becomes to light, or it becomes a real issue in terms of risk management, when there's an accident. And we SEQH don't want to see accidents.
No, we don't want to we don't want to have any contributing factors towards an accident.
That's right.
Just you touched on beforehand, you might go around a corner quite fast, and the load just still wants to keep going forward.
Straight ahead.
Or you might need to slam the brakes on because something's come out in front of you. And again, that can then impact other road users around, and also the truck driver and the fleet.
Particularly if he has to take, some sort of evasive action, and that causes the load to move, which then gives the trailer a big shove, and then it's on its side. It's not a pretty sight.
No, not at all. So I think we've shared enough of an insight there with respect to
one issue of the load restraint guide, and
Yep.
it's a rich field, so we'll attack that on other occasions, Nathan.
Yep, and we'll share the documents so you can revise that as well. Thanks everyone. See ya.
Thank you. Bye bye.